Hello guys, this is Benjamin and welcome to another episode of the Big Apple School podcast, where the goal of this show is to help you improve your English listening skills by, of course, listening to us. And today we have 3 guests. So our first guest today is...
It's Alyona.
Excellent. And our second guest...
Katya.
And last but not least...
Ugur is here.
So Ugur is in the house. Welcome back. So guys, I just need to mention that we have a new format for our podcast. So it's going to be around 40 to 45 minutes. And you can join us on our after show, and you can find the details about the after show on the Telegram chat. So just have a look at Telegram and follow the instructions there so you can join in on the conversation. So today's topic, we're going to be talking about gender stereotypes.
Ooh,
so can be a bit controversial, but it's still a really interesting conversation.
So gotta tread carefully on this one.
Yes, exactly. Tread on eggshells, to use an idiom. I think you all know that idiom, yeah? To tread on eggshells.
Yeah, like be careful.
Exactly, to be careful. Well, let's start about work. So gender at work. So what jobs, let's just dive straight into it. What jobs are deemed as appropriate for men but are inappropriate for women, in your opinions? Or do you feel that all jobs...
Oh, we are going straight into that.
Let's just go straight in.
Well, some people believe that, women are not cut out for certain type of physical jobs. Mm-hmm. And in this case, would be like miners, loaders, like everything that has to do with some physical activity.
Strength, yeah.
So there used to be some sort of a stereotype that women are not cut out for being a pilot, which they proved absolutely wrong because now we have more and more female pilots. So, but yeah, I personally think that if you can do a job and you can do it well, it doesn't matter what your gender is.
Yeah,
well,
exactly.
I hate to be an airplane nerd, but I love being just a little fact. So back in the old days, when you had to steer a plane, it was really heavy sometimes. Maybe it had something to do with that, whereas now...
It might have.
Whereas now...
we have only joysticks,
But remember, during the Second World War, there were lots of pilots who were women and special teams.
Absolutely,
and they were great, So why not?
So they were the pioneers, showing we can do it.
And
we have a female pilot in Turkey, around the First World War.
Yes,
and she has one of the pioneers that skates, so it's a female pilot. So,
and also depends on the type of plane as well. So, for instance, in fighter
Ben is just going into that. Okay, we only have 45 minutes, Benjamin. I know you love talking about planes.
Okay, maybe another time we can talk more about planes. But
So what do you think?
Previously, engineering wasn't meant to be for women, but lots of women proved that they are able to do that. Or I don't know.
Or scientists, maybe.
Scientists. Remember Marie Curie? Yes. So one of the greatest pioneers. Yeah.
So what we have to deal with in this case, it's not what women or men can or cannot do. It's more about the attitude that a lot of females are facing. I have a very good example when it comes to education and work. So I have a friend, stunning. Like, she looks stunning. She has long hair. She's wearing dresses, heels, always makeup, really gorgeous. So, and she was attending the courses in the pre-COVID era. So everything was offline. And those courses were in programming. And there were some guys like, oh, how come that you're here, So what is your job? Like, what do you do? Are you like a journalist? Are you in humanities? And she's like, I create robots for German automobile factories like BMW and Volkswagen.
Cool.
And they're like, the what now? And I just love this moment when women kind of break the mold. When they kind of, show that, hey, stop this condescending looks and everything. Like, we can do whatever.
Right. We are here,
Oh, remember the jokes about, women talking about physical engineering or something like that. And when the men approached, they were like, okay, let's talk about makeup.
It's kind of sexist in a way.
Sure, but the topic that we discussed today, it's more...
Well, it's a sexist topic.
Indeed.
Would you feel safe if a woman was driving the bus? I'm joking.
Yeah. Speaking about
It's
driving,
true, yeah, that was-
about driving, lots of women are more careful drivers, and it's proven.
Yeah, man.
It doesn't matter what they drive, cars, trucks, whatever. Yeah, so they can.
So very often it depends on a person, you know.
Of course.
It doesn't matter what the gender is.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So, but speaking of, you know, like jobs and everything, so you've mentioned Marie Curie, you know, and this is like just one of the people, well, very few people that we know about. But what is kind of annoying, if we look back in history, you know, in science, back in the day when it was supposed to be that, oh, you know, women cannot be good in science. And what makes me so infuriated in a way is that there were so many situations when women discovered something, but men that they worked with got all the credit and got the Nobel Prize. We've got Jocelyn Bell Burnell. So she's the one who discovered pulsars. We've got Rosalind Franklin, the DNA helix. We've got Ada Lovelace, computer algorithm, Vera Rubin, dark matter, Lisa Meitner, nuclear fission. So, and this just, you know, the beginning of the list. All of these women did something, you know, outstanding. So, but they never got credit for that. Instead, the men they worked with, or their like supervisors, their colleagues, got Nobel Prizes for all of these inventions and discoveries.
That leads us to our society and where we brought up, or we were brought up, and where we live nowadays. So it's changing a little, by step by step. It's changing, but still we have stereotypes, and some jobs are thought to be for men and for women. Yeah.
But actually, you know, it goes both ways. So even now, when we believe, you know, how, like, come on, gender stereotypes, we live in 2022. Men who, let's say, are nail techs, they're looked at like, really, you're a nail tech? Like, why? It's a girl's job. They're like, how? Like, what if I just enjoy like doing that? So it kind of goes both ways too.
Yeah.
Which is annoying too.
Yeah, what jobs? Yeah, so you mentioned a nail. I guess you could say a nail technician. Well, you said nail tech. You said.
Yeah, but nail technician, we can shorten it for like nail tech, which is actually a good moment, because I know that in Russia, a lot of people, when they try to translate the like nail master, so we don't say master, or like nail tech.
That's really good that you mentioned that. Yeah, because like a lot of the word master.
Can we say manicurist?
Yeah, I think you can actually. I think you're right. Yeah. But
so I saw it somewhere. Yeah.
Because the word master in Russian is kind of like a one size fits all word. You can use it for hairdressers. You can use it for
tattoos.
everything. Exactly. If you use the word master in English, usually it means
a different thing.
Yeah, you're in a position of authority.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it has authoritative connotations to it.
So but jobs.
Yeah. So men, which jobs would you say are not suited to men, or not culturally considered to be suited to men?
Okay, teachers in kindergarten.
Yeah.
Usually we can't find men who teach kids.
I teach kids,
I mean, in the kindergarten. Nowadays, there are no men.
But for
unless
some
they're
reason.
suppliers.
That's
you
true.
can say beauticians, maybe.
That's also true. Like nail techs.
Nail techs, or the beauticians, skincare specialists, or whatever.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
But again, there is like a deep lying reason, you know, historical reason, that for some reason when men work with kids, they're looked at like, why exactly do you have such interest in kids? This is not normal. Who says so? Why is it so? Okay, so you have no questions to dads, but suddenly when a man wants to work in a kindergarten, you have ones?
Yeah.
Where's the logic in that?
Well,
Maybe
it's a fine
he's a
balance,
pervert.
because you do have to be careful with kids. Definitely, like you do. I definitely do think that teachers should have like really strict vetting, especially if you work with kids. But as long as the teacher can go through all the vetting procedures, I don't see why it should be any
Absolutely, yeah.
problem. Yeah,
But it is still a stereotypical thing that if a man works with kids, probably he's a pervert or something, because it's not, I don't know, in their nature or something.
Maybe some anger management problems. They can be careful with the kids while they're just,
Maybe,
I don't know.
yes.
I don't know.
yeah. I think it's a good idea to have, like, if you work with kids, it's just a good idea to have a camera in the classroom so there's no...
Oh, in general, it's a good idea to have a camera because in case there's some sort of misunderstanding, conflict, footage, says it all.
It's important. It's there. And it's always there. And you can prove yourself.
And it's kind of, it's safe for both sides.
Both sides, yeah.
Yeah.
Sure.
It protects everyone. Yeah. All right, so teachers, beauticians, nurses, I guess. It's becoming more... I mean, I've met a lot
many. There are
of...
quite many men and women, it's naturally, but men...
Well, the Russian word is medsestra.
And
so what
medbrat.
Oh, you can say medbrat.
Yeah,
I didn't
absolutely,
know
yeah.
that.
So nurse, it's both for men and women in English, but in Russian, so we have like sestra, brat, yeah.
Because the history of Russia is really interesting because you had the Soviet Union, a lot of men went to war and they died, unfortunately, and a lot of women had to pick up the slack. They had to pick up the jobs that were previously occupied by men.
Yeah.
So this is why just statistically we have more women in the industry, like, right now. But if we look at other countries, I think there's like basically no difference these days. But what is interesting is that despite the fact that, there are both genders in the medical area, when there is, let's say, a young girl who comes to the patient room, very often they would hear something like, oh, that's okay, I'll wait for the doctor. And they're like, I am the doctor. I'm not a nurse. I am the doctor.
And this is the second stereotype about age, actually.
Fair enough.
Yeah, lots of people think that younger specialists are not wise, not good enough, and
not qualified.
Not qualified at all. Yes. But
that's another side. Yeah, it's not really about gender, but it's more about the age. Yeah,
maybe another time we can cover that. I mean, I don't know if that's
ageism.
a whole... Yeah. I don't know if that... Well, maybe we could do, I don't know, stereotypes about
age.
Different...
Yeah.
Oh, we actually have had an episode on stereotypes, and we covered stereotypes about age.
I mean, like, we did do an ageism one.
We did.
We've done so many good podcasts.
I know, right?
So definitely, guys, our listeners, have a look at our long list of podcasts, which you can find on our website.
Well, I think if we talk about gender stereotypes in workforce, I think we can't but mention the concept of glass ceiling. So are you familiar with the concept?
Yeah.
Can you define it for our listeners?
My belief is that, I believe this is how you define it. Maybe you can correct me if I'm wrong, but it means that women are given the impression that they can achieve a high authoritative position, but there's this invisible barrier that stops them from achieving a
going
high
to the
position.
very top, basically. Yeah, absolutely. This is what it is. And this term actually first appeared, in like feminist theory and everything. And what kind of makes me glad is that nowadays this glass ceiling is slowly breaking. It started with, let's say, crack.
Well, it depends on the society, of course.
Obviously. I mean, there are still, very patriarchal. How do you say this word?
Yeah, you said it right. Yeah.
So societies, but it's kind of, inspiring to see that nowadays very often there are female CEOs and everything. And I don't know about Russia, but in the US, if you go to Google Map, you can actually see, like, click on a special icon to see which businesses are female owned. If you want to kind of support, female owned businesses. So it's kind of, makes me glad that there seem to be less and less, difference maybe, or like stigma or something between male and female CEOs and heads of companies and everything. So that's a good tendency that we're heading on.
Well, yeah.
I hope one day we won't have that female, male, or business or whatever profession. We'll have just, profession for a person, whatever gender you are,
Well, let's move on to the military. So in Israel, as you might know, they have a conscription, the draft for both men and women. So most countries that have the draft, the military draft, meaning that you get called up for military service, this only applies for men. Do you think that countries that have the military draft should call up women?
I think that people should have a choice.
Yeah, if they want to.
Like
they can
the way it is in the US.
Yeah,
you want to go in the military. It's not, there's no like necessary draft or something.
Well, let's say like Brazil, for instance. Brazil, they have a mandatory military service. we're not talking about like whether you want to join it or not. Do you think that if you have a mandatory draft or do you think Brazil should mandate women to join as well?
That's a tricky one. But, so if we look at Israel, a lot of people there, they're glad that both like men and women go through that because it makes you, well, let's say a tougher person and everything. But I think if that is implemented and if, women are called up and everything for military service, it should be organized and well thought of. Because unfortunately, we still have a lot of cases of like crime happening over there.
Abuse.
Oh, yeah.
Abuse.
In Brazil.
And everything. So solve these problems or don't make it happen.
Yeah.
And again, in Israel, it's like 3 years service.
I think for men, it's 3 years, 2 years for women. I
2
think
years
it's like
for
that.
women.
Yeah.
I think if it was like a year, that would be more bearable, But yeah. But I believe that people should have a choice, like they do in the US. Military, it's like you want to go into the military, you go.
And do you think women should be allowed to go onto the front line of a conflict?
The wars that we'd had, so they showed that they can.
Women
they are
can
capable.
be ferocious, like.
Yeah, as Kate said, in the United States Army, I guess they served in front line in Afghanistan, I guess. Like the medic or like the corporals or like the surgeons, staff surgeons.
Yeah.
So female soldiers were kind of in the combat, in the action.
Yeah, it's a whole it's a big huge debate that's all over YouTube and all over the internet. So
nowadays, nowadays there are quite many women in military service. But they are mostly they're mostly in medical.
Medical roles.
Not in the front lines.
Yes, maybe supply. Something
logistics.
Like this. Logistics.
Like drivers.
Of course. Something like this. And this is good that there are women and they, they collaborate with men in charge. So but it could have been better.
Obviously,
Well, I guess nowadays we have more modern warfare, so you don't really need to get yourself involved in hand-to-hand combat like perhaps you would have had to do in the Second World War, for instance. So maybe the need for strong men, well, you still need strong soldiers.
Well, absolutely. Being a soldier requires
strength.
Hell of a lot of physical strength, So obviously.
And mental strength.
And mental
strength,
Some people say that women are stronger there. I mean,
well, I guess
mentally,
women do have to go through a lot of painful events in life.
Yeah, definitely.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, every month. I couldn't imagine having that every
Yes. That's
They say, that women can endure more pain, more physical pain.
Yeah, do you know, perhaps you're right, actually, because women are more accustomed to it. Whereas, I mean, not everyone gives birth, but I could never imagine giving birth. That
oh my God,
pain.
have you seen the experiment? So nowadays there is this sort of a tool or something.
Birth simulator.
A birth simulator that can give a man a chance
the false spasms that they're having.
And they have like a scale from 1 to 10. And the same with like not only the birth simulator, but the period pain. And, there was like, I saw this video, I found it hilarious because it was a guy and he's like, I cannot bear it anymore. Please turn it off. And they looked at a girl like, how you doing? She's like, I would be fully functioning going on a workout and working. What you talking about? It's just like a 2 out of 10 or a 3 out of 10. He's like, no, it's not. It's like, do you want to feel what a 10 feels like?
Would you give it a go for that? Would you like try that?
No.
I personally don't want to do that too. So
I wonder how it works.
Kudos to you guys. So, right.
How does it work, this simulator? Do they have like a belt which they put around the waist?
And something like that.
It punches you.
Like electrodes
and
are
electrodes,
like,
This sort of thing.
I think stimulate the back, belly.
Yeah. All this like the low wraps.
Yeah.
Do they have one in Novosibirsk?
I'm not sure they have like in many countries. So
maybe in Moscow. I don't know. For our Moscow listeners, let us know if you found a birth simulator.
If you tried
pain
it.
simulator.
Yes. So
Anyway, so moving away from birth simulators, Do you believe that there are any gender roles that should be taught to people from a young age? Or do you feel that people should just grow up to be...
Leave them alone. Leave the kids alone.
Leave the kids alone.
Yeah,
please.
leave the kids alone.
Yes.
Yeah.
You know, it's again, I'm happy to see that it's kind of, you know, this sort of tendency is dying out that, oh, you know, women cannot run the show in the family, you know, so they should be the housekeepers, like responsible for cooking and everything. Well, you know what? No. For example, I grew up in a family where everything was shared.
Same.
So let's say my dad was cooking, my mom was cooking, whoever had the time, you know, did the thing, did the chores and everything. It did not matter at all. Like, you know, whether that was my mom
And they
or my
didn't
dad.
complain about it, right?
Absolutely not.
Yeah.
It was just, you know, like...
Way of living, you know, just a regular way of living, yeah.
You communicate, you decide, you know, who's going to do what and everything.
Yeah, our parents grew up in families where the gender roles were important, still important, but when we were born, so it changed tremendously, I think, yeah. Because my grandma told me stories from her childhood and from her youth when it was really, really important to follow some, morals.
The social norms, in a way, right?
Yeah.
Well, but the society and the world is changing. So earlier it used to be, you know, not just totally fine. It was the norm that a man is the breadwinner. So he's the one who brings the money, you know, and everything and supply and support, you know, financially the family. Woman is the one who gives birth, keeps the house, you know, clean and everything, cooks and everything. That was just the way it was. Now, we are not limited. We do not have to have a family if we don't want to. So we can choose whatever we want to be.
How you feel yourself more comfortable.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So I think since our society is changing, we don't need these gender norms, well, you know, like the roles anymore. Absolutely not.
You're right.
What about clothing? Do you feel that... Well, yeah, tell me what you think.
Sorry, but same thing. Like, why? You know what? I'm sorry if I'm taking too much time of our podcast, but
that's
still,
all right.
There is a story, you know, when it comes to gender stereotypes and everything. So I saw a video of this girl. She has a daughter. The daughter is like 2-3 years old or something. So which means that the only way to recognize the gender of this baby is by clothing. And she said, what I've noticed is that when my daughter's wearing jeans and everything and she's running around and people think she's a boy, they say, oh, look at you, you're so fast, you're so strong, because they think that's a boy. But when she's wearing dresses, all the compliments she gets is, oh, look at you, you look so cute, you're so beautiful in this nice dress, such a princess. She's like, oh my God, these gender stereotypes are, you know, kind of bombarded on our kids when they're still babies. Like, why? So...
Do you think there's any healthy elements of gender stereotypes? Do you think there's any good sides to it?
There was definitely, but nowadays, as the society developed, the economy developed, and the boundaries somewhere are faded a little, yeah. So
I guess technology has changed a lot of things.
A lot.
I think that stereotypes kind of limit the freedom. So
you can do this, you can't do this. In
absolutely,
a way. Just limiting you in a way.
So before that was the question of survival, housekeeping for women and
breadwinning for the man.
Yes, I wanted to say about mammoth. Right. Yes, but anyway, so the same.
But there are sometimes it gets to. Let's bring it to the more controversial points. So, bathrooms. Do you feel that there should be separate bathrooms for men and women?
I think so.
I guess yes. I guess yes. Because of the hygiene.
Yeah.
Most importantly.
And, you know, I love it. I love the way it is done in the US. So because there are men bathroom, women bathroom, and gender neutral bathrooms, which are for one person.
One person.
So, and I believe that sometimes people do not feel comfortable. Well, let's say we still have non-binary people. They do not identify as men or women. So for them, for example, they wouldn't feel comfortable. Or let's say sometimes there are, let's say, women who, have short haircuts and they're very often perceived as men. And they're like, I'm sorry, this is the women bathroom. And they're like, I am a woman. And sometimes they just want to, just spare all that. Yeah. And just go to like a gender neutral bathroom or something like that.
Well, I guess the reason why the separation exists is because there are some bad people in the world. We can't really avoid that.
Yeah. There have always been, there will always
sexuality can't be avoided a lot of the time. I'm not, and I think it's because of sexuality the reason why.
Yeah. You know what's interesting about bathrooms?
Yeah.
And coming back, for a second about gender roles and everything. Have you ever noticed that there are baby changing stations in women's bathroom,
but not
family
in,
bathrooms, but not in men's bathroom?
Not in men's bathroom. Yeah.
So society kind of tells us who they think should be taking care of the baby, and that's another stereotype.
But there are so many men who look after their kids, and
absolutely
not only just one day thing, but for I don't know.
I mean, they take paternal leaves,
yes.
like paternal leave,
paternal leave,
and it's. Not only about European countries, it's about Russia as well. I know one guy who took a paternity leave just because of some financial matters, because he... why not? So,
but you know what's fun though? When these guys, again, about the praise they get, they're like, oh my God, you took your baby to a doctor and everything. Good for you.
You're a great father. You're a great guy.
This is just called parenting. People. Like, come on, don't praise the bare minimum. But another side is that I recently read a story where a guy took a baby to a doctor and everything. And they're like, where's the mom? He's like, at work. So I'm taking baby to a doctor, like a checkup and everything. And she just started, like, oh, you don't know how to hold a baby. Oh, you can't do this. And she was so annoyed. And he's like, what's the matter? So, and she just told him something like, well, I can't do it right now. Just come back with the mom of the baby. And he's like, what the hell? Like, what sort of biased
father,
attitude? Yeah.
And she thought that mother can take care of baby better than
Like, why? Come on. It's a very strange situation, yeah. I wonder what the woman would have said if he had said something like, we're a same-sex couple, so we're two family of two dads. She would be like, oh no.
But we talked about bathrooms, and I guess we all kind of agree that there should be some separation for the reasons that we've explained. What about prisons? Do you think that men and women should be in the same prison block?
No.
I don't think.
Same reason. The crime, the abuse, the rape, no. It's too dangerous.
Or what about if someone decides to change their gender? Do you think that's the tricky one?
So transgender in a...
Because there have been some because if you go to prison, you're not exactly a law-abiding
we're
citizen.
treading on thin ice over here.
Yeah.
This question has brought up so much debate in the US, and it has been, discussed for like years now. So that's a tricky one.
I mean, I would just say, unfortunately, no. Can't mix genders in prisons because there's going to be so much violence and
absolutely.
Unfortunately, it's like that. But you can house people in different parts of prisons, I guess. So if someone is
like private cells or kind of
maybe not solitary confinement. But a special wing of the...
But not in the general population.
Yeah, because it can cause big problems.
I remember this point was kind of not discussed, but shown in a TV show, Orange is the New Black. It was a moment...
Orange is the New Black.
I never saw this.
So it's about
women's prison.
Yeah, it's about women's prison, and there was a girl who was like a transgender, and first of all there was a lot of violence towards her, like, oh, you're not a real woman and everything. So it kind of showed different sides of that. So yeah, and what it's like to be a transgender in a prison. So it's rough.
Yeah, well, prison's rough anyway. So
it was like add another like whole new level to it.
Yeah, I think prisons, it just has to be a separate part of society, because if you go to prison, usually you've done something bad. Not always, not necessarily always, but usually you have. So I think I think we have to separate genders in prison. Well, let us know what you think. So anyway, let's think what else we can talk about.
Clothing.
We talked about that a little bit. Well, tell me,
not enough.
Would you think What would you think if I came in with a skirt?
Okay, so you know what? It's very interesting because I've discussed this topic with my students just, this week. I've had several classes on the topic. So if we think about, let's say, the 30s, women were not allowed to wear suits, were not allowed to wear trousers. Marlene Dietrich was actually arrested in Paris for wearing a suit. So and when she did that, that caused real backlash. Since then, things have changed. So now we women can wear whatever the hell we want, but not men. So in this, why are there, these double standards? Girl is wearing jeans, men's clothing, whatever style. If a man puts on a skirt or a dress, oh my God, he's like mentally sick or something. To hell with that. And I really love seeing that there are a lot of people now who are kind of, again, breaking this mold. Like, if you feel, I personally believe that if you can pull it off, wear whatever the hell you want.
Yeah,
Comfort.
why not?
Why not?
It's just a matter of.
I guess we are a little bit far away from just changing our clothes as men. Then the women are open more than men in a way, I guess, right?
Nowadays, the girls wear whatever they want. Just because they had to fight for that. And men, they didn't have to fight for that. And they actually...
Because we've never been in that kind of situation before. So that's correct,
why.
Yeah.
That's why nowadays, so not in many minds that thought appears. And so that's why there is no kind of wave to change that.
But I can see, like little by little, step by step. So a lot of guys I know, they get their nails done now. At first, it was considered to be like, there was a lot of stigma towards it. An alternative way to get
That's my nail care. I bite them,
Yeah.
So, but, it started with little things like earrings, getting your nails done, some accessories, So, and it's getting, they get more and more freedom. Not in Russia, sometimes when it comes to clothing.
Artistic people, so they show
designers,
trends,
maybe.
Designers.
I mean, Harry
singers.
Styles.
Ezra Miller. Adorable photo shoot when he wears a dress.
Absolutely.
That, oh my goodness,
But,
this looks so beautiful.
It's another side, like let's say when Harry Styles was, so he was on the cover of Vogue last year, or like 2 years ago, and he was the first man to ever appear solo on the cover of Vogue. Until that moment, men had only appeared on the cover of Vogue with women. But the thing is that he was wearing a dress. So, and that got...
The pink one.
Might have been.
Yeah.
But the thing is that that caused huge backlash. And people like, oh, well, too bad he didn't make it on the cover of Vogue not wearing a dress. And he had an interview about that. And he's like, I'm more about like comfort, style. I don't want to shut out
Harry
the whole
Styles.
Comes with a name,
Yeah.
So he was just saying, like, I don't want to shut out the whole world of like great clothes and everything. Like, if I can wear what I want, why not do that?
But he's so stylish. Yeah. He's like, wow.
Extravagant.
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, I love the way it is done in the US. It's because in there, you wear whatever you want. People will not look twice at you. Doesn't matter, it's it's your freedom.
Japan is one of the representative if we talk about Tokyo, yeah. So in the center of Tokyo, yeah, Akihabara or other districts, yeah. So where the cosplayers walk, where there are so many. My goodness. So there is, I forgot. There is one account on Instagram, and people used to like take photo shoots of the couples they see there, or they just they're solo representatives, not the cosplayers, just sometimes fashion designers, sometimes the people who just like to be extravagant, who just like to show off a little, So
I believe that we should just give people the
Adorable
freedom.
things wearing.
You want to wear a dress, go for it. You don't want to, don't.
How would you define, a more basic question, how would you define masculinity and femininity?
That's not a basic and a simple question, I think.
Basic, but also very deep, paradoxically deep question.
That's not a question I would have an answer to, because every person has both femininity and masculinity in them, which just shows in different ways. Not necessarily clothing or actions or something, but, you know, for some reason we also have some sort of, well, a belief that feelings are gendered. And when a man cries, they're like, oh, that's femininity in you. No, that's processing. That's feelings, and it's okay to have feelings. Like, stop it. So yeah.
Yeah, typical thing. Men don't cry. Yeah.
Bullshit. Sorry.
Really.
But
They do
really
cry.
is.
Yeah.
It happens.
And that's
It happens.
So wait, Benjamin, what do you think on the topic?
I would say femininity, if we have to define it in terms of like essential nature, I would say it's more like wind and water. Whereas masculinity
Elaborate on that?
is more like earth and fire.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe not fire, I guess. Maybe femininity is more like fire, wind and water. Whereas
Could you please elaborate on what you mean?
So, well, females tend to have more estrogen and men tend to have more testosterone. What do these two hormones have? What is estrogen? It allows your emotions to flow more. And emotions, it's a neutral thing. It's it's neither positive or
It's
negative.
biology.
It's biology. What is testosterone? I guess maybe
Strength,
Yeah. So
speed.
yeah, so perhaps all of these elements are required. You need these elements to complement one
Fair enough.
another.
Yeah.
And yeah, if you take one away from the other, they kind of everything falls
Imbalance, yeah.
apart. Yeah.
Mhm.
I would define femininity as aesthetics over masculinity. So whatever they have is more aesthetic than we have. So that's why most of the time when a man wears a dress, it doesn't look good.
Well,
Because it's not aesthetic, you know. You have a hairy
Unless
chest.
it's a kilt, like a Scottish kilt.
wait, yeah. So, but
Yeah.
well, again, when it
The
comes to
symbol of
clothing and everything, you know,
masculinity.
there are a lot of debates. Like, come on, Greek gods wore dresses, and Greeks wore dresses and togas and whatever.
Yeah.
So yeah,
I don't know.
to each their own.
Yeah.
You
But
know,
there's no
what can
such
I
thing as
say?
100% masculine male, and there's no such thing as
course not.
100% feminine woman, because you have your base. So you're either more, well, you're born, I hate to say it, yeah, you're born either with a willy or with a you know what. But you can be a more effeminate male or a more masculine woman, and sometimes people are born hermaphrodites, and they have they have both.
I think it's more about like how you act and how you feel personally. So yeah.
Yeah, and I don't think anyone should restrict people necessarily if they don't want to.
Absolutely.
That's the objective thing we can take away from it is, let people do what they want to do.
That's true. That's a good one.
According just the law. Yeah.
Yeah, within reason. Yeah. All right. Well, I think that's coming up to 40 minutes. So we're going to leave it there, but we're going to have an after show, like I said at the start of the podcast. So definitely check out the details on the Telegram chat, and we're going to speak more on this subject, and you guys can participate with us. So don't forget to check out our website, which is www.bigappleschool.com, where you can find more interesting podcasts, videos, and more information about the courses we offer here at the school. And also be sure to check out our social media platforms, including Telegram, VK, etc. So that's it for today, guys. That was Benjamin, Ugur, Katya, and
Alyona.
Alyona. We'll see you next time.
See ya.
Yeah.
Thank you. Bye for now.